Hey guys, what is going on? This is your old pal CHH. I saw this article and I wanted to do a video talking about this because, the reality is I've been on YouTube, I've been friends with physical media people, movie collectors. I've talked to you, the audience, now for years now. And there's always this, it's going to die. This is the end of physical media. Get ready. It's over. I have been hearing this for so long. And even when we see stores like Walmart, we see stores like Target, we see stores like Best Buy, which I actually think Best Buy has made a big mistake. My Best Buys near me, I have 3 of them. They're just looking like trash. I'm seeing less and less people in them. I'm not saying that's because of the lack of physical media or none at this point, but they're just dwindling. People are getting TVs online now. They're buying them in cheaper places. I never have had good customer service at a Best Buy. I got to be honest. When I need them, I can't find them. And when I don't need them, they won't leave me the hell alone. That's just my Best Buys, but you guys tell me. But what's so interesting, like I said, in the wake of all this physical media is dead talk, there was this article that Variety just posted, and I want to talk to you guys about it. And I want to break down what I agree with, what I may not agree with, and just why I think and know that physical media is not going anywhere. If you're in it, you're in it. But let's get to this article, guys. Let's talk about this. So Variety made this article, and it was called Boutique Blu-ray Labels Thrive in the Digital Age, Defying Streaming Dominance. SXSW London panel finds the romanticism of having a physical product. So there was this big panel, and people involved with boutique labels were talking. And I have an anecdote that is just perfect for this situation of what happened to me last night when I wanted to go watch a movie that I didn't own, and it was a movie called Gone Girl. We'll talk about that in a second. So let's get to this article a little bit. All right, guys, in an age where streaming services dominate the entertainment consumption, boutique Blu-ray labels are experiencing an unexpected renaissance, with industry leaders citing a growing hunger for tangible, curated film experiences that digital platforms cannot replace. Speaking at this festival, why boutique labels are thriving, on front panel they had Lewis Buckler, head of marketing at Arrow Films, Chris Holden from Second Sight, outlined how their companies have carved out a thriving niche in an increasingly digital landscape. Goes on to say that the boutique Blu-ray market has drawn frequent comparisons to the vinyl revival, with both formats appealing to collectors seeking physical ownership and premium quality. Recent data from the British Association for Screen Entertainment supports this trend, showing 4K UHD Blu-ray format grew 21% year over year in 2024, moving 1.3 million units worth of $38 million. That is pretty impressive. $38 million. I think they've been likened to vinyl with the resurgence of vinyl, says Holden, whose company Second Sight Film has operated for 31 years. You probably are just as surprised as me to know that they've been around for 31 years, especially if you're in America. There's the same collectability factor that, coupled with quality, streaming a film is never going to have the same quality as a disc, with compression and everything. It's having tangible products. I've always been a collector of things, added Buckler, who has been with Arrow Films for over a decade. It's just so much nicer to pick up a nice box, open it up, read the liner notes. It's a lot of different experiences that kind of just pressing play on streaming. So I think the romanticism of having a physical product kind of works across vinyl and film. Both executives emphasize the increasingly sophisticated restoration process that sets boutique labels apart from mainstream releases. Arrow averages 4 to 7 releases monthly, with projects scheduled tentatively through 2026 through 2027, while Second Sight operates as a smaller outfit, producing 12 to 15 annually. So the article goes on to talk about the process, how they're getting great relationships with directors and making their releases more wanted, because there's such this care factor going into things with directors helping out their products. In this article, they go on to talk about this sort of stuff. So credit to Variety actually bringing this to people's eyes. I'll read the last part here. 4K restoration has become essential for the market. There are certain things we could release, and if we just do it on Blu-ray now, people are going to be disappointed, Holden said. We will look at releases now, and we won't release something if there's not a 4K master available. All right, guys, so we'll cut that off for now. And I gotta say, this is a surprise to me in one sense, but it's also not a surprise to read something like this in the other. As you guys know, I just interviewed Cliff McMillan on the channel not too long ago, where he dropped a bunch of hints, and now from this point, we've seen that they've announced even more stuff. Obviously, the Texas Chainsaw films, the remake in the beginning is coming out, but they've also teased the Ninja Turtle films with an S at the end. Little hint there. And the cool thing is that Cliff actually said to me on that interview, the biggest stuff that we have coming out, I can't even talk about yet. And I'm thinking to myself, big stuff, that means movies that are probably going to be huge. I had asked him on that show, people probably have talked about the death of physical media for years now, and somebody actually pointed me out to an interview with Cliff himself back around 2015 or 16, where he said, yeah, physical media is definitely on a downward trend. But the interesting thing is, you could still argue that physical media is on a downward trend on a global scale. DVD sales are probably down. The average Blu-ray sale is probably down overall in the complete physical media charts. But the niche market is growing and growing. And here's another thing I've noticed. I want you guys to drop your ages down below, because it seems like as I continue to do my YouTube journey and I meet new people and I review titles and people correspond back to me, I'm hearing from more and more people that are young collectors, people that are 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, that they only lived a little bit of the physical media world. They never grew up with the blockbusters, where they have that tangible or nostalgic feel of wanting to own movies the way you did when you were a kid, bringing them home, the experience, which, I think in some sense, a lot of us that are millennials or older probably try to continue to replicate that feel in whatever way we can. But here's something that I wanted to talk about that is so infuriating that maybe a lot of you will have the same opinion on. Streaming is a frustrating experience. It always is. I don't care, how good your internet is. I don't care what streaming site you have. You're never going to be fully satisfied with any of it. The difference from what Blockbuster did to the mom and pop video stores is when Blockbuster, took over and dominated that market. Yeah, there definitely were niche horror films that you would only find at the mom and pop stuff, and a lot of it was just SOV stuff or just raunchy movies. Like, I don't think Blockbuster was carrying Cannibal Holocaust, but when it came to just movies in general, Blockbuster had the movies that were coming out and that were big titles. This is why streaming is a pain in my ass. I have a conglomerate of streaming sites. Let me try to run them down. I have Paramount Plus, I have Netflix, I have Amazon Prime, I have Hulu, I have Shudder, I have Disney Plus, and I think that's about it. So I have 6 or 7 streaming sites. I should not have to think of a movie I want to watch if I don't own it and have to buy a movie. That is inexcusable. So the other day, me and the wife are getting ready to relax and sit down, and I say, hey, I want to watch a really good film like Prisoners. Show me something that's like just truly captivating. She says, I got a movie for you. It's a movie called Gone Girl. She begins to explain said movie, Gone Girl, and I instantly stop her. I say, it sounds amazing. Let's watch it. I know, embarrassing that I haven't seen it, but then I saw it was a David Fincher film. I could not hit play fast enough. So what do? I don't own the film, which I'm going to remedy that soon. I go to Google, and when you go to Google, you can type in a movie you want to watch, and it'll show where it's streaming. Usually, sometimes, or most of the time, to be fair, when you type in a movie, you'll see Netflix or Paramount Plus or Hulu, and sometimes you'll even see it on the free sites like the Tubi or the Plex. Gone Girl wasn't available on any of the streaming sites that I effing pay for, that are supposed to cover everything, essentially. If it's not Disney or Fox, then okay, maybe it's Paramount. If it's not Paramount, okay, well, maybe Netflix has it. Netflix just seems to have a lot of stuff. It's ridiculous what they don't have. So I had to still buy or /rent Gone Girl while having 7 streaming sites. That is ridiculous. Yes, you can say, Christian, you can get a VPN, but I don't want a VPN. I want to be able to have some streaming sites to kind of take over when I don't own a movie, or it's ridiculous. Streaming is a vastly inferior way to enjoy films, because by the time I realized I had to buy the movie, I was annoyed, you know? And going to the vinyl comparison, I think that's kind of fair. You know, when you talk about like the experience of a movie, I vividly remember I always asked my uncle, who basically turned me into the music fan that I am, what music was like as a kid, and it was a experience. And I kind of replicate that now when I grab a movie from Second Sight or a chunky box from Arrow. I like to sit down, and as I start the movie, especially if it's a movie I've seen, I like to kind of flip through the book as I'm getting the menu screens on and getting the movie started, and I get to immerse more in that film and read a little bit more. And the way my uncle did when he was a kid with vinyl was he'd put on Kiss Unmasked, and he'd pull out the sheet as the record started, and he's looking through the pictures, he's flipping through it, and he's looking at the images on the front because it was a big comic book cover. The experience is something I think kids now, or people today in general, are begging for. Everything is so digital and so superficial feeling. People are dying for things that are tangible. That's why these popcorn buckets are, I think, exploding. I really do, because it's part of the experience. It's a physical, tangible thing that becomes part of the experience of the movie, something that you can have and then later on stick on your shelf to remind you of the experience, where it's not just a memory in your head. There's something to have with it. I think that physical media, I don't know if I've ever said this, but I think it's going to be around for the long haul going forward in the niche market. So the niche market is thriving, which is excellent to hear. That doesn't mean that we don't have to still have our criticisms and hold these companies' feet to the fire when we know that we're being raked through the coals on prices or not getting what could or should be done. We still have to be forthright in that sense. And I know a lot of you guys are. You have no problem expressing yourself in my comment sections. But it's nice to know that we're in a good place. And like, I can't really stand by the it's dead, it's not what it used to be. You're right, it's not what it used to be. We're in this super niche market now, in the super niche world with physical media now, that it's all going to be, it's different. We're in a unique time right now. You could say this is the golden era in some ways. So yeah, you're not able to buy these movies at Walmart as much. Well, you can at Walmart, or Target's gone and Best Buy's gone, but the niche market is pretty impressive now, guys. So I wanted to talk about this. I'm dying to see what you guys have to say about this whole situation and your thoughts on physical media today. What do you think is good about today, and what do you think is bad about today? I'm very interested in what you guys have to say about this. That's going to be it for now, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Take care. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.